friends, Amanda here. Welcome back to Handmade and Hallmark. Today I've got this fun mixed media bee card featuring some of my favorite stamp companies. I really had a lot of fun creating this card. I hope you enjoy it. Let's get into it. I wanted to get my background panel completed first, so I had an opportunity to dry completely. I took a piece of pattern paper from an older honeybee stamp set, a honeybee paper pad set called the Bee's Knees. And I really loved this background, but I wanted to kind of jazz it up a little bit. So one of my favorite ways to do that is to kind of like, again, jazz it up. So I'm taking a background stamp from Simon Says Stamp. This is the friendship text background. And I'm going to stamp on the background with some of the MFT ink in the color Lemon Drop. And I'm going to do like a second generation stamping. I probably could have got away with doing just a regular full-on stamp just because I am going in with some ink blending, but I really love the way that this turned out. One of my favorite ways to add text background stamps to cards is kind of use them as an accent just to give it some interest. Next I'm going to go in and I'm going to do some ink blending as well. I'm going in with Fossilized Amber Distress Oxide ink, and I'm ink blending around the edges to add some depth and interest. Again, this is completely optional. You could easily have made this card with just the background panel the way that it is. But again, I wanted to add my own little flair to it and really kind of add some interest and kind of go for that mixed media idea. Going in with some black soot around the edges. I think, hindsight, instead of doing the black soot, I think maybe a brown would have looked a little bit better with these yellows. Not that there's anything wrong with the black soot, but it got a little bit darker than I wanted. It added the black that I'm kind of incorporate a little bit later. But hindsight, I think a brown or maybe just a darker yellow would have looked a little bit better. Once I had that all finished, I'm going to go in and add some splattering. I'm going to go in with some white gouache from Winsor & Newton, and I'm also going to go in with my Prima metallic watercolor set and add some gold splatters as well to kind of go along with the gold accents I'm going to add later in the card. Just watering down my white gouache here, and just picking it up with a paintbrush and just lightly splattering the background. This is kind of like my version of mixed media. I don't think that there is necessarily a certain way or a certain kind of rules you have to follow when it comes with mixed media. It's just mixing different types of crafting mediums to get that quote-unquote mixed media style. You just kind of go with what you like and what you feel looks like mixed media for you. If you're using different kinds of mediums that you don't normally use together, I think that counts as being mixed media. Going in with that gold, and I really, really love the way that this background turned out. And this pattern paper was absolutely perfect for it. I know that this particular pattern paper is no longer available, it's retired, but there are so many bee themed cardstocks, pattern papers, dies, stencils, everything out there on the market right now. So finding a pattern paper similar to this to do a card like this won't be very hard to find. Finally, I'm going in with some distress inks in black soot. This is just the regular distress inks, not the oxide, to add a little bit of black splatter. Next, I'm going and adding some color to my Lovely Layers bugs. This is the bee from that set from Honeybee, and I'm just adding in some Copic coloring, one of my favorite ways to add some color to cardstock. I'm going to add a little bit of music here for you to enjoy while I color, and when I'm all done, we'll come back and finish this card up together. Once I had all of the coloring finished, I went in and glued down the wings, and I think this is probably my favorite part about this die set, is that you can cut their little wings out of vellum and they really look like wings, and you can keep them lifted up to make them look a little bit more natural. Just a little bit of glue in the center and then that center piece to cover it up. It's just so perfect. I love these little bees. They are so, so cute. And then I add a little bit of shimmer on the wings just to make them look a little cuter. And I think coloring these in with Copics is my favorite way to color these bees in. I think doing with colored pencils would look really neat because you could really give them some fuzzy texture, which I think would be a really fun way to color them in as well. So now that my background is pretty much dry, I'm going in with the Geo Leaf Stencil from Simon Says Stamp. I don't have like a honeycomb stencil or die cut or anything like that, and that's what I really wanted for this, but I felt like this was kind of a nice alternative. It really makes for a fun effect, and I wanted to add just a little bit more sparkle and texture to the background of this card, kind of go along with that idea of mixed media, or my version of mixed media. And then I'm going over top of it with this Hero Arts glitter paste. I really love this glitter paste. It dries nice and clear, and I didn't want it to look perfect. I wanted it to be kind of haphazard, so I didn't really fill it in very well. Some places are thicker, some places are thinner, and once I did that, I covered it back up. I have some Press and Seal on top of this just to help keep it, from drying out. I've had a few pieces or a few pastes dry out on me, so I went and got some Press and Seal just to protect that stuff a little bit more. Just going to clean up the edges here and let this sit off to the side to dry, and I'm going to go wash off my stencil and my other tools. While that is drying, I'm going to work on my sentiments. I'm taking a greeting from the Inside Kindness stamp set from Honeybee, one of my favorite stamp sets of all time, and it says, "You are so kind," and I'm stamping it down on some black cardstock with some Versamark ink, and I'm going to use some Alabaster white embossing powder from Brutus Monroe to add that. This is the secondary portion of my greeting. I really like this. I wanted to definitely use these bees, but I wanted the card to be kind of like open-ended, it's a just because you are so kind card, thinking of them, anything like that. But I really wanted to use the bees, and I felt like this was a really fun way to incorporate those bees into a card. So I've got the CZ Designs Just Because die set from Simon Says Stamp. So you can see I've mixed and matched from two of my favorite companies to create a card, and I really like doing that. I think I mentioned that in a video maybe last week, that mixing products from different companies I think really helps you stretch your products in your stash, and it really helps you kind of think outside the box instead of trying to work with all of the same product from one company. If you see things that go really well together and they match really well, go ahead and use them together. Mix and match. I think it's a really fun way to get use out of lots of different companies. So I've got these cut out of some heavy white cardstock, and then I also have some glitter cardstock. I'm not 100% sure where the glitter cardstock came from. I think it may have come from a tonic set, like a 6x6 set. I'll link to one that I have, but you could use any glitter cardstock, and I really think it goes well with the card, the golds and the blacks. Just kind of a vibe I was going for. Again, I really wanted to create a bee card, and I had this pattern paper set for a really long time, and it's got lots of really fun bee themed images in it, and I was just kind of brainstorming different ways to create a bee themed card, and I had all of these things and I felt like they went really, really well together. Get that all lined up, and I love this Just Because CZ die cut. Really, really fun. Now that I have all of my elements ready, I'm going to go ahead and get my card base ready so I can assemble the card. I've just got a piece of Simon Says 110 pound cardstock, and I'm squaring it in half to create a top folding A2 size card base. And then I'm going to adhere my main pattern paper panel down with some foam adhesive, just because with all of the glitter paste, it did kind of warp the cardstock just a little bit, and I want to make sure it lays kind of flat so that it doesn't curl up or anything like that. make sure I have the text around the right way, because I have done that in the past. I have adhered something and the text was upside down. I mean, it's really subtle in the background, but it's just one of those things I pick up on. And I love the way that this was turning out. I thought about maybe adding a flower or some kind of leafy thing at the top, but I was like, you know what? Go with your gut instinct. Go with your first thought. Don't overthink it. Just go with it. And I really do love the end product. It's a really fun, kind of unique card, kind of really out of my comfort zone, which I'm really glad that I did it. I was really inspired by Nicole Sfor's live she did last week, I think, where she did mixed media, but it was like her version, and it really inspired me to go and try to do some mixed media in my version, and I really loved the end result. I'm going to pop up this secondary greeting with some thin foam strips. These are from Scrapbook Adhesives. They're a really nice comparison to the Doris ones that were out a few years ago, and these ones are just as nice. They work just the same, and I really like them. I'm going to glue my bees down nice and flat because they already have a lot of dimension with their wings. I thought about adding a third bee, but I think 2 is just right. I know it's the whole like rule of 3s for me, but I think the 2 work out just fine. Then I'm going to go in with some ebony black crystal drops, and that will finish up this card for today. I really hope you enjoyed my version of mixed media while I created this fun bee card. I love the way that it turned out. It's so fun and different and outside of my comfort zone. If you enjoyed the video, please consider hitting the like button as well as to subscribe so you don't miss out on any more videos here at my YouTube channel. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you soon. Bye!
On screen, I've got a few videos that I think you'll enjoy. Consider hitting the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any more videos at my YouTube channel.